Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I say to you, many prophets and kings have desired to see what you see, and they have not seen it, and to hear what you hear, and they have not heard it. Those of us who have come from a different background know what it is to want to know, to want certainty. And when at last a glimmer of light comes in answer to prayer, verses like this jump out of Scripture. This week something similar happened. I happened to go, as I do on a regular basis, to see what my friend in Westminster was blogging at this time. And he had fished from the cybersphere something of this nature. A miracle happening before our eyes. And one in which the Lord of hosts is, by doing this miracle, writing in a Catholic mode and expressing his dogmatic and unchanging truths, a thing which he does not do in Protestant circles. He will answer prayer, he will perform miracles of healing if there is great faith, but they are neutral. Whereas here we have the Lord of hosts giving clear indications for any who will have ears to hear and eyes to see, that he is saying, my faith and my church are one thing, and what men have made of it is another. By the way, remember that in the midst of confusion. Don't look at the human, but the mystical body in its divine life. It is precisely that error that the media are making left, right and centre. And by so doing, saying, we are superior to Christians, we are superior to the church, we are superior to the mystical body, and any salvation necessary we will get there by our own means. This particular miracle is fairly recent. And remember that our ancestors could not have such access to modern science as we have. And so, although these miracles happened, they remained purely visual and visible. Here we have science coming on side. If you wish, you can go into YouTube and find this bit of footage. It's quite easy to find. I'm sure John will oblige everyone by adding the YouTube at the end, as he usually does, which, by the way, is a useful resource. Remember that if you're talking to people who want some kind of evidence, just point out, look into that, look into that. And without any fuss or bother, you've got God's answer. Anyway, what it was this. You know that some years ago in Lanciano there had been, with permission, the analysis of the sacred species transformed way back into flesh and blood. Well, it happened again recently through another miracle. And they presented the result without saying where it came from or what it was to the person who had analysed the other one, who was still alive, by now a certain age, but still in full possession of his mental faculties and a brilliant scholar. And not knowing where it came from, he said, "It's the same man!" Now, I won't go into detail. If you want to go into detail, do it yourself. But the point is this. The Lord is saying there is no change whatsoever in the essence of the divine life of the Church and the power of its sacraments. You can't see it, I can, but I will let you see it now and again, even though I don't particularly want to, because I would prefer that you had enough faith, but you need it, especially the weaker members, and so now and again I lift the veil. And by the way, it's happening perhaps more now than before because of the abuses. And the Lord is indicating that he does not like certain ways of doing things with regard to the sacred species. Remember that. Now, when reading and seeing what my friend had to say, it hit me. The Lord is love itself in this sacrament, and we have to do with his heart. Google to see what I mean. His heart in the Blessed Sacrament, the Eucharistic heart, throbbing and bleeding and burning. Now, every time a soul either abuses what he's been given in this sacrament, and that's hugely present right now, or turns away and does not bother at all, the Lord weeps in his divine majesty. Every time a soul gets to the beyond with the state of mortal sin unconfessed and unhandled, the angels weep and cannot bear the sight. We know, for instance, from Medjugorje, that when souls get lost, they change form. That was shown to the visionaries there, it would seem. They saw them because I really want to warn us through them. When souls leave the body in a state of grave sin, they become hideous. And she let them see the change, because they get closer all the time to the inferno and to the enemy of the soul, and become like the one that in this life they have chosen to resemble, because it's a continuation. And by the way, observe what company delights the soul. What kind of language does the soul use? Because they're all indications of the company that that soul wants to be with, in this life and if necessary in the beyond. It's one linear movement. We mix forever with the ones that we want to mix with. Bad company is awful company in the beyond. But this took me to something else. It's the way that also we can help these souls. How? The secret of suffering. So much suffering gets wasted. Never use the moment of pain, either mental or physical, in an indifferent way. Plug in to the cross. Remember, right now, souls are going all the time into the beyond, and very few are prepared. Use your pain. It can change eternity for someone out there. This hit me years ago when, on the weekly walk in the monastery in France, the novice master, took us up to a high rock, a mountain really, overlooking a gorge where there was a very profound valley. And we just sat there admiring the view. And he came out with this unexpected remark. If we fell off right now, we would go straight to heaven. If we jumped off right now, we would go straight to hell. I thought, wow, that's a pointed remark. But it made me think, look around. Now, never judge a single soul, but observe how many people are actually wanting to end their life, and at any risk to take that jump because things have got so bad. And it's part of something quite satanic, because if certain truths are never said, it makes them easy fish for the devil's hook. Come this way, yes, a moment of weakness, just that last moment and I've got you. And it's not the best way to jump into the beyond. And unfortunately, we're not helping it by encouraging them to do so, by giving them wonderful beatifications when they do so, forgetting that they cause great pain to their family quite often. Yesterday, while meditating on this, and you'll see what I'm coming to end, I came across the difference between the way it was handled in the 16th century. In those days, remember, one had a very poor burial, and people knew the issue. Just think, for instance, of the way that this was handled by Shakespeare. And remember, Shakespeare died a crypto-Catholic. We know that from contemporary evidence. William died a papist, muttered a contemporary who knew him. This, then, is on the fringe of the beyond, and it's every soul not in a state of grace, or perhaps in danger of losing it. to be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep. No more. And by asleep, to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. It is a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep. To sleep, perchance to dream. There's the rub, for in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil. And on he goes. But he doesn't stop there, because listen, a bit further down he comes out with this. Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will? A man in control of his destiny yet, with all eternity yet in his hand. This is one of the most powerful paragraphs we have in English literature. And now, my friends, a very large proportion even of young people snuff out the last moment of existence and all eternity to boot, because no one was there to listen. And that's where I'm coming to. My friends, be a good Samaritan on this. Be there and listen to the cries coming from the soul of the person next to you, because the proximus is your neighbour physically. Listen to the pain of that soul. I just finished, my friends. It really saddened me some years ago when I heard this, and it's linked also with the first reading, The Letter Kills. It was, unfortunately, in, I think, our own monastery, but I'm not sure, one of ours anyway, but it was one of our brethren who was telling me about this. Apparently, it was true, but not talked about. One of the brethren, the lay brothers, not the choir monks, had for some reason been in contact with the Superior General. And he was a very good Superior General, but he was very, at times, harsh in his letters. And unfortunately, he made a mistake. He wrote a very severe letter, and a few days later, the letter killed, and my brother was found dead. Now listen, my friends, you could be in a situation where you could save a person from suicide if you pick up what that person is not saying.